everyone. Hello, everyone. I'm Charlie Toast, and welcome to the Tonight Show podcast for today, the 21st of November. We have got plenty to talk about on the show tonight. I'm joined by late participant Zach James Brown with the latest news. Hello, Zach.
Hi, Charlie. Hello, mate.
So we're live across YouTube tonight for the Tonight Show podcast. And of course, we've got plenty of news to talk about, including jungle critters, celebrities entering the jungle, and one person who is apparently going to be strapped himself into a science lab and dealing with critters. As I'm sure you know, I'm probably on about that person. We've also got to talk about farmers' tax, Jaguar, and much more. So let's get on with the show. I'm going to start, Zach, by talking about we're gonna start with the main story tonight. I want to talk about Vladimir Putin getting a nomination this week. President Putin, war in Ukraine going pretty wrong. 1,000 days in still. Zach, it started with Joe Biden initiating the use of Ukrainian sort of ballistic missiles to be launched into Russian territory, which has angered a lot of Trump aides, and I think many countries have actually criticised the move. And I think Keir Starmer's also announced the approval of this as well for some UK-made missiles to be launched into Russia. And Russia have retaliated in the last 24 hours with attacks, I think, on Dnipro and several other cities in Ukraine as well. Obviously, our thoughts are with those who've lost loved ones in this war, because war is horrible. You know, it's barbaric and anything. In fact, we can get the source up now, which confirms the latest attacks and the latest air raids that have taken place by the Russian forces. The new missile has been fired. It was in Dnipro. He said the missile, codenamed Oroshenik, was responsible for the use of Ukraine and US and UK long-range weaponry inside Russia. Putin added that Russia could attack military facilities of those countries which allowed the weapons for this purpose. The US and the UK authorities, the US ATMs spied Storm Shadow missiles. The president of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, said Russia's use of new missiles clear severe escalation, the brutality of the war. You can see there the overall map there of where Russia's missiles can actually reach as well. Zach, it's clear to me political news on this, particularly from all sides of devolved governments. Certainly tensions at the moment, obviously, with them. But what's your assessment of President Putin's latest missile attacks on Ukraine?
Well, first of all, we should obviously Russia have continued to be at it 1,000 days in by launching all their attacks on Ukrainian territory, including Dnipro, where they've used a new missile. The Ukrainian claim it's an intercontinental ballistic missile, but we understand from what US intelligence is saying that is not the case, and it is just another new missile instead. That's not an ICBM, basically. So yeah, they're still attacking civilian populations. They're still going around and attacking targets such as energy security targets, which is key. It's winter time, and we know what happens during the winter, where it gets cold, it freezes, it snows. So Russia feels it's the right opportunity to go around and target the energy infrastructure, which keeps people powered up with water, energy, and all that sort of thing as well. The results of all of this, and I have to say, it's been far too long. It's taken for this has been approved by the US to allow for a limited range of weapons to be used to target areas that are deep inside Russia that are suspect to attack from Ukraine. Now, the US approved some of their own ones, and in turn, they also allowed the UK to use their weapons to strike missiles in within Russia as well. Like I said, I have to say this has been, personally, in my view, far too late, and it's something that could have been approved a lot sooner, and really should have been done as well. We've been waiting too long for these weapons. We've been slacking as well. And I don't. And if it's a US approval thing, then the blame can be done with the US, with the administration in the United States, if anything, rather than the UK government. I think it's clear from the briefings that the UK government have been agonising the US to try and approve the use of certain weapons as well, which is obviously really important. But it's taken too long for to get them to get approved. And now that it's happening, thank goodness these weapons are now be able to use. But it doesn't appear to have universal approval. We've seen the likes of the crank left, such as Diane Abbott and Jeremy Corbyn, go to to social media to complain about this use as an escalatory measure rather than looking for peace. Is it no wonder why they got booted out and are not seen as really anywhere on the front line of Labour Party politics anymore, really? But yeah, and then we got from the crank left to the Trump aides, who have been briefing in the scenes, behind the scenes, that the US is wasting another billions of dollars of taxpayer money on these weapons. I'm sure I'm very unsurprised to see the hard left and the right wing come together to basically, you know, go for appeasement rather than find proper solutions to this, rather than seeing the enemy, rather than seeing the actual Ukraine wanting to win, which is disappointing. But it's not surprising given Trump has been a lot more skeptical of this. He claims he can do the end of the war in one day, which is complete nonsense. Let's just say that as well. But yeah, the move to finally allow these weapons being used is great. Is absolute. I think it's now time to show that Ukraine can hit Russia where it hurts with their own sort of weapons, and this needs to be done given the fact that Ukraine has slowly lost territory along the Donetsk region, in others the Zaporizhia region, in lots of other areas as well where they've been struggling, and it shows as well. So yeah, I think it's an important move to allow these weapons to go ahead.
Yeah, it's an interesting development on that issue there as well. Moving on to obviously outside of the war in Ukraine, now I just wanted to mention this because this news is broke today. The loss of John Prescott, who has unfortunately died at the age of 86 today. Former Deputy Prime Minister to Tony Blair. Anyone know John Prescott? Obviously, huge figure in Labour politics. Former Deputy Prime Minister died at the age of 86. He was the MP for Hull for almost 40 years. So Tony Blair said he was devastated by the death of his friend, telling the BBC there was no one quite like him. His successor, Gordon Brown, called Lord Prescott a working class hero, while Prime Minister Keir Starmer had him as a true giant Labour movement. The King praised his decades of public service, with great fondness and his unique, indomitable character within his infectious style of humour. In a statement, Lord Prescott's wife and two sons said he'd been in a care home, recently living with Alzheimer's, obviously dementia, a horrible disease. He was also known once, I think he had a campaign trail. Yes, he punched a protester and threw egg at him after apparently, I don't know, it was his election stunt or something that happened when he was, I think, on a bus or something. Someone went up to him and shouted at him, I think, from what I remember. Yeah, Zach, what's your tributes to John Prescott and former MP John Prescott?
Yeah, very sad news today. Very, very sad news, really is. John Prescott, Deputy Prime Minister, longest Deputy Prime Minister in history, and the Labour MP for Hull East for almost 40 years. A very special person, and a very pragmatic figure in the Labour movement, with his wit, his energy, his stubbornness as well, and he's the only person I think that will be remembered for having an incident with a member of the public and come across quite well, if you think about it. Because this is what happened. He got an egg was thrown at him by a protester. I mean, it's very common for milkshakes these days, but this is when he was out campaigning in the 2001 election, and there was an egg that was thrown at him, and there he was, the guy that he got into a scrap with, and that was famous for a lot of reasons. Tony Blair reacted by him by saying that's just John Prescott for you, which shows he's adamant for what he, for his determination and his stubbornness and his just sheer grittiness. He was such an incredible performer within the Labour Party politics and just overall campaigning as well. It really was incredible as well what he did. So yeah, it's a massive loss in the political community as well, and it's a real shame that he's gone today, and we've all thoroughly missed him so much as well.
Obviously, John Prescott he's done the Top Gear. He also drove the Top Gear reasonably priced car. I think it was the Suzuki Liana or the Chevrolet Desetti. It was one of them he drove. But I watched him on Top Gear, and I think he flipped. I'm not sure he flipped the car over in one of the corners. But yeah, no, obviously an MP, or at one point Deputy Prime Minister as well, alongside Tony Blair. So huge role, huge loss in the world of politics. Whether you agree with him or not, it's like we lost Alex Salmond earlier, a month or so ago as well. So a couple of MPs, unfortunately, no longer with us. It's a shame, whether you agree with these people or not. It is a loss at the end of the day. It's a politician. It's someone who campaigned for their area, campaigned on the local issue, the huge issues that matter most. Is all I can say on that. So yeah, interesting. Moving on now to the farmers' tax protests. Now, this took place the other day. Jeremy Clarkson was the interesting guest. I'm going to play for you a little clip of his speech in a minute on stage, where he had a very intense interview with Victoria Derbyshire from the BBC. By the way, that was his ex-employer that he used to work with, obviously when he was on Top Gear. Clarkson basically called for the government to reverse their decision on, I think it was the inheritance tax or this farmers' tax thing that's come out. Apparently, Rachel Reeves turned out and said, I think 76% of farmers will not be affected by this. According to this is what Jeremy said, obviously. He said that to the audience. Huge protests took place in London. Thousands of people descended the streets. Even opposition parties were in attendance. So Reform UK were there. Even the Liberal Democrat leader, Ed Davey, actually went as well. Nick Tenkoni from Reform UK. All loads of people there as well. Not UKIP, sorry. I'm getting from Reform UKIP leader was there as well. Zach, what did you make to this protest during the week? Obviously, it's an inheritance tax bill that was obviously being put through Parliament. What did you assess? What was your assessment of it?
Yeah, it was about over 10,000 protesters in London on, I think it was Tuesday, protesting the measures against the new sort of rules on farm owners and passing their inheritance down their family. So previously they didn't have to pay inheritance tax if you were over £1 million worth of land that you owned, or was valued worth over £1 million. And in some cases, it could be 3 million. So in some instances, only like three. In some instances, only like 3 million. 3 million in special instances as well. But there's new rules now where you previously didn't have to do inheritance tax. Now you have to pay 20% inheritance tax. It's my view on this is quite simple. You're a millionaire, and you're paying a little bit of inheritance tax, and I don't see why there is such an uproar about this. That millionaires who are passing on rich assets to their family are now upset they may lose a bit of their richness. But there was a protest on Tuesday. It was tended by quite a few people. Jeremy Clarkson was one of them. Nigel Farage, who has the audacity to turn up after him supporting Brexit. It wasn't really. And we saw that sticky interview with Victoria, Derbyshire, where it was pointed out to him before with Jeremy Clarkson that he previously moved the land of his farm to try and avoid inheritance tax for the sole purpose. And he was confronted like that, and then he said that's typical BBC or something like that, which is not really, which is deflection, not even answering the question. He didn't appear to pick he tried to pick a fight, and it didn't really work. But yeah, there was a lot of tractors going around in the city of London, mainly peaceful. I'll give them credit on that. Although there was one instance where one went over a gate, and yeah, it's not good. But yeah, it was a peaceful protest, thankfully. It was a big protest with 10,000 farmers. Again, it was a decent attendance as well. Again, what HMRT is saying, it's only like the 50,000, I think 500, sorry, not 50,000, 500 of these farms would be affected by the heritage tax changes out of the God knows how many there would be. But it still results in 10,000 farmers rolling onto the streets and complaining about the heritage tax change, saying it would kill them off. But I don't agree with these protests, I'm afraid, because these are just rich people complaining about they're going to get a little less rich, even though they're still going to be rich. I think the audacity for it to be complaining about this is not great, and I have to say they're totally wrong.
Well, I'm going to play for this little short exchange between Jeremy Clarkson and Victoria, Derbyshire, in which Clarkson argues against inheritance tax for farmers. Have a listen to this.
Why are you here, Mr. Clarkson?
Well, because I'm here to support farmers.
Right. Are you angry?
It's difficult to be angry on somebody else's behalf. That's like being... Yes, no, I'm not angry on someone else's behalf.
Right. So it's not about you. It's not about your farm and the fact that you bought a farm to avoid inheritance tax.
Classic BBC there. Classic. Oh, yeah. It's not the fact that I bought a farm to avoid inheritance tax. The fact.
You told the Sunday Times in 2021 that's why you bought it.
People.
Sorry?
BBC. Okay, let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
I wanted a shoot. Okay? That's even worse to the BBC. I wanted a shoot, which comes with the benefit of not having to pay inheritance tax. Now I do. But people like me will simply put it in a trust. And so long as I live for 7 years, that's fine. And as my daughter said, you will live for 7 years. You might be in a deep freeze at the end of it, but you will live for 7 years. But it's incredibly time-consuming to have to do that. And why should all these people have to do that? Why should they?
So one of the reasons Rachel Reeves says she brought this in is to stop wealthy people using it as a way.
No, that was the only reason she did.
Well, no, the other reason was to raise money for public services. Well, have you seen?
Are you listening to this?
Have you tried to get a GP appointment lately?
Yes, I just recently had a heart attack.
Okay, so you know it's tough.
Yes.
So where should they get the money from if it's not from farmers?
From farmers. You hear that, everyone?
With
BBC
assets.
thinks you should be paying for everything.
Okay,
do you know how many people pay inheritance tax in this country?
It's 4% of estates.
What?
4% of estates.
4% pay inheritance tax. 96% of the population of the UK does not pay inheritance tax. After this becomes law, 96% of farmers will.
Where have you got that figure from?
Who here, can I just ask, who here is going to be unaffected by these changes? No one.
Right. And where have you got the 96% figure
Well,
from?
you've got 96%. Well, the same place that Rachel Reeves does, from the middle of her head.
Right.
From the Sixth Form Debating Society that she was no doubt a member of,
Okay.
which formed her opinions and yours.
I am not expressing opinions. I'm literally asking you questions. You know that, Mr. Clarkson.
Right.
So, what is your message to this government?
Please back down. Please.
And get the money from where?
Well, they've got 40 billion. I'll tell you where you go. Walk into any of the offices around here. If you don't understand what somebody's job is, fire them.
And how
The civil service. Civil service is too tough. You know that.
How
I must get on.
There is Jeremy Clarkson there. I've never heard him that political before, trust me, maybe more reason to watch Clarkson's Farm, I think. Certainly unavailable on Amazon Prime. Series 5 is starting very soon. I can't wait for that. If anyone loves Clarkson's Farm, definitely see it. It's a great show. Jeremy there certainly shamming Victoria Derbyshire to the smithereens there on that one. For sure. Moving on now to Plank of the Week. Oh my God. Here we go now. It's an easy one for me this week. Jaguar. Get the nomination. Jaguar. What was this? Okay. Have Jaguar decided we will go woke and go broke with something like this? I mean, Jaguar quite simply done this, okay? There was no cars on the new logo that come out. It looked like, okay, some kind of weird stunt that they would do if they were filming an online dating site. It was absolutely... Oh, I've muted Zach. I forgot about that.
Yeah, I'm here.
I just want to say that. What is this? A plethora. It's just unbelievable. Jaguar created a logo. It looks like someone who's got an LGBTQ plus dating site. What the hell is this about? I mean, seriously? Like, have a look at this new logo, okay? That the Jaguar have gone with. It's woke. It's just... Like, maybe it looks like... Look, I mean, it's got pink background. So who would think, oh, it's a pink background? And it turns out maybe it's stuck for the magazine of Katie Price. I mean, look, Katie Price would certainly love this. She's got a pink Range Rover years ago. Oh, we might as well stick a pink Jaguar badge on it. Oh, Jaguar Land Rover built that car. Look at that. That just looks very dull, doesn't it? I mean, then you get to the advert where it's like just what? Look at this. Copy nothing. It's like they took inspiration from the Paris Olympic ceremony. Look at this. This is the advert. Where's the car? Where's the XF? Where's the XE? Look. There's no E-Type on there. Someone said on here, okay, a reader said, I've never seen Ragata Hoa amount of, and I quote this now, shit in my time. Apologies for that word. Do you sell cars? Was Elon Musk's cutting forward reaction? Is his car company Jaguar? I don't know what to say on this. Look at that. The advertisement was a disgrace. I'm sorry, Jaguar. Easy nomination for me this week. Zach, what's your plank of the week this week?
Do you know what? I'm also going to give it to Jaguar. First of all, just on your comparison there, Charlie, I'm not sure if it's LGBTQ comparison or woke. I mean, we don't reply to woke to everything these days. This monkey's woke. Shaun the Sheep's woke. This scarf here is also woke because it's got red on it rather than pink. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure about that. But Jaguar, what the hell have they done? You take a beautiful logo, like what they previously did, and it's very lovely. So I'm just going to give you a comparison here. This is the old Jaguar logo. Just for a little bit of advice, that's the old Jaguar logo. And if you look at what's on screen there, that's the new one. It almost looks like someone's come up with like 10 seconds to put a bit of font down, draw J, A, and G, and U on, and then all the border and go and tick approve. Why ruin such historical proportional nature? That is crap. And the advert, generally, if you watch that advert for the first time, you never heard of Jaguar, you would have thought it'd be a clothes. You would have thought, where can I buy Jaguar clothes? I was thinking, I'm not thinking of the cars. I'm thinking about the clothes. Where's that fashion? Where in M&S can I find a Jaguar? No, this is a car company we're talking about. It's almost like this has been drawn up by people on The Apprentice. And they generally approve this sort of thing. That's returning in January, by the way, but I'm sure we'll talk about that longer than we actually get to January. But yeah, this is generally a terrible rebrand. And I'm not saying it because it's not some of the things that are being described, but it's a marketing suicide, even being mocked by Specsavers and many others, as well. I don't know how they even passed the inspection test, because really and truly, what a diabolical mess this Just Jaguar is. They could definitely get the plank of the week for me as well.
What is this? I can't believe it. I'm looking at something I put on a fashion magazine. It's not even a car brand.
Yeah.
Come on, if you're a petrol head, okay. The Jaguar E-Type launched back in 1961. One of the most iconic sports cars. Enzo Ferrari called it. Well, this is, by the way, I'm a huge petrol head, okay? And I know a lot about cars. And the Jaguar E-Type was launched back in 1961. It was an iconic sports car. Enzo Ferrari called it the most beautiful car ever made. And for good reason. It was beautiful. And you look at the F-Type as well. Recently, I think about 10 years ago, that launched 2013 or something. The F-Type, that a classic supercharged V6, and the V8, of course, as well. They were iconic cars. And you had like the XC, the XF, so many Jaguars, XJS. All these cars made Jaguar the brand they were today. Very impressive cars. Now we're obviously seeing an electric revolution coming in the world of motoring. Whether I agree with the whole EV thing, that's another question. But this is what they want to be for an EV rebrand. I think it's just ridiculous. The logo looks plain, boring, dull. I could use many other adjectives to describe it. It's just bland. It's horrible. I mean, whoever thought of that idea should get fired immediately, I think. Looks like maybe the Apprentice team for next series could use that logo and actually create a better brand than that. Mind you, a load of the Apprentice candidates have done recently have been poor when it comes to branding design. So, yeah. Remember that episode when they done the cruise ship? That all went wrong, didn't it? So, yeah. They didn't put a logo on the brand name. They just put a wave, which looked like around the turb. But never mind that. If you, Lord Sugar, Claude Littner or Tim Campbell or Clarence Brady, rate that out of 10, will you? That's certainly interesting. So, that is Plank of the Week this week. Pretty easy nomination for me and Zach this week with Plank of the Week. Wow. Moving on to Highlight of the Week for me. Obviously, we've got sport in action. Obviously, Premier League's on this weekend. We've kind of gone through the fixtures last week. We'll go into a couple of football news bits in a minute. Zach, my highlight of the week this week for sporting world has to be the maiden Grand Slam, or the maiden major title for 17-year-old Luke Littler, who won the Grand Slam of Darts. Who won the Grand Slam of Darts. The Grand Slam of Darts last week. Obviously, his first major. He beat Martin Lukeman in the final. And yes, now number 5 in the world.
Yeah, an absolutely splendid job by Luke Littler, and it showed how he can really just dominate the whole game as well. He's only been a bit in up and down form this year, but it's his first major proper huge title since the Premier League of Darts, where he won that big prize money. And yeah, he did it in such convincing form as well. I mean, there was a few. What I liked about the Grand Slam of Darts, there was so much surprises on the way as well. And what happened? There was generally so much surprises and shocks that it really was quite something. We've seen the uprising of Martin Lukeman, who did so well, and we saw the likes of Mickey Anderson in there, Gary Anderson as well at points as well. That was so good. But Luke Littler did start off behind, but goodness me, once he was in it, he really was in it as well. And it was such an incredible effort to actually dominate the whole tournament. It really was as well. So yeah, that was completely, utterly fantastic. as well. Really was, and a staggering result overall. In terms of what he's achieved there, I mean, yeah, it really it's been great. And now coming up, I think as well, is we have coming up ahead now over the weekend, actually from tomorrow, it's the Players Championships as well. There was the top 64 seeds from the 2024 PDC Players Championship taking part as well. So if you wonder what the Players Championship series is, they do 30 darts tournaments across the tour as well, and they do a number of Players Championships as well. So any of the players, they all combine the results, and in the top 64 out of it take part in the finals. As well, Luke Humphries is the defending champion. He beat Michael Van Gerwen last year, but given the recent results, you'd have to think as well that there could be a few surprises on there as well. In terms of the merit on there, Chris Dobey's going in as number one as in the first merit because he's won the most players championships. But then you're going to see the likes of Stephen Bunting in there as well, and then you got the likes of Nathan Aspel, who's actually last in there as well. And you're going to see the likes like Peter Wright as well, Gerwin Price, Andrew Gilding, Alan Sutar. Dirk Van Duzenboys, who've actually been properly Vic Dedeker as well, and Daniel Pitt. So yeah, a lot of names that have done well in the Players Championship going to be taking part in this one as well.
And obviously, I think that's at Butlins Minehead. I think the Players Championship finals. I think I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
that's where it's going to be held. I was actually at Butlins the other week, funny enough, at Bognor Regis though. So yeah, but obviously Minehead do obviously I think have hot shots. They have dart balls there. I think at the hot shots. So certainly interesting. But yes, obviously as you alluded to, Zach, there would be the darts and the Grand Slam. Yeah. Well, seeing Luke Humphries and Michael Van Gerwen crash out early on as well. Luke Littler said, and he had a huge reign to win it, and he certainly delivered. In all honesty, just fantastic performance. We've got that coming up, and then also in December, I think the 15th, the World Championship, everyone's favourite one of the year, the World Darts Championship, the PDC World Darts Championship, the Alexandra Palace for the end of the year. It's going to be interesting to see how everyone gets on in that. It's going to be very good. I always love the World Darts Championship. It's always a classic. So, yeah, very interesting news. Also, as well, moving on now to the football. Obviously, we have Premier League. We kind of reviewed the fixtures last weekend. Zach, obviously some news outside of like the fixtures. Obviously, I'll quickly go over them again just to clarify because I think there has been a couple of news regarding obviously the first match of the weekend will be Leicester and Chelsea tomorrow. That is, of course, the early kickoff, and obviously we've got other matches as well across the weekend. We've kind of gone over these already. Just some highlights at Ipswich, Man U, West Ham, Newcastle, Man City, Tottenham. Some of the highlights, Arsenal, Nottingham Forest as well. Obviously, we have reviewed the fixtures before on the show. I'll just leave them up for you now. This is the link. This is the fixtures here. They are going to be available. You can go on the Premier League website, and you can also go on the BBC Sport as well, Flash Scores, all other websites to view all the Premier League fixtures that are taking place over the weekend as well. For the measure as well of the title race, very interesting. I think Pep Guardiola has also signed a new contract at Man City. Tottenham have also had a suspended player apparently ban that they were looking to overturn, and there's also been some news about obviously Ruben Amorim taking over the Manchester United role as well. So there's certainly been a lot of news as well in the football over the next week or so. Zach, what is your assessment obviously over this weekend and also in the week of football really here in the UK? News-wise.
Yeah, obviously we went through the Premier League stuff obviously last week as well. I just wanted to mention a few other things as well. Let's go to the UEFA Nations League because we know what happened there. First of all, congratulations to England who have made it out of Group B and will be going into Group A for next season of the Nations League. They won very convincingly against the Republic of Ireland. I should say 5-0 the scoreline plus a red card for the Republic of Ireland as well. It's some dismal day. They finished third, so we'll be going to the Nations League playoffs to see if they can keep their spot in Group B or not. I'll just mention a few other things as well. Italy, France, 3-1 victory for France. Scotland managed to win against Poland, and that was a very significant victory because it means Scotland can now go into the playoffs rather than be relegated, and that's really significant there as well. Luxembourg 2-2 against Northern Ireland. So that means Northern Ireland, I think Northern Ireland are promoted actually. I'll get to the standings in a minute. I'll probably find out there as well. Wales have definitely done well. They've been promoted as well after winning against Ireland. So a very good result, I feel like, for the British side overall. But if we look at it for the table, yeah, Scotland are third. So I presume, looking at that, they are actually staying in Group A for the time being as well. I don't think they have to go to playoffs as well. France top the group as there as well. So the ones that are actually going to the proper to the semi-finals of the Nations League are Portugal, France, Germany, and Spain as well. In terms of promotions, the Czech Republic, England, Norway, and Wales all get promoted to League A and will be in the big one session this year. Sweden, Romania, Northern Ireland, and North Macedonia all promoted to League B, and then promotions as well for San Marino and Moldova as well in their league as well. So Wales, all good stuff there. Ireland are third, so actually, yeah, I think they're fine there. So I mean, Greece are now going to go to the playoffs as well. That's really important there as well. But yeah, some really significant results in that one as well, Charlie, as well. But I think a good set of results, actually, I think, for most of the British sides involved.
What's also your other developments on the recent news regarding Tottenham's red card suspension?
Yeah, it was basically one of Tottenham's own players being racist about another of their own players, actually, of Heung-min Son. Yeah, it was a deserved suspension, 7 matches. I don't know whether they win on appeal. If obviously now it's been appealed, I don't know if they would win an appeal. But I think that everyone's keeping an eye out for 2 things. This obviously, one is Pep signed a new 2-year deal extension at Man City. Probably no surprises there. I know he's probably might wind down after his 2-year extension. And the second thing is there's going to be a vote on in the Premier League on new financial rules tomorrow. This is a close one because Man City are opposing them. But it looks like there is momentum gathering next for it to be voted through. So yeah, that is really quite significant actually. We'll see how Man City reacts after that, if the possible voting through those rules tomorrow as well.
So that's all your football news. Moving on now to the Formula One. Yes, Formula One, of course, coming back. We're in Vegas this weekend. 6 a.m. is your alarm clocks for the race on Sunday. Qualifying as well, I believe, starts at 6. A very early start on Sunday. Night race in Vegas. Max Verstappen could wrap the championship up this weekend. I think he needs 3 more points to Lando Norris. I think he's got to finish ahead of Lando Norris to win the championship. So you think easy pickings for Max Verstappen. We go to Vegas. I have to say, guys, I am not going to lie. I know this race was very enjoyable. It was a fun race last year. I've been critical of F1 going to Vegas for a long time. I'm not going to lie. You know, traffic, swing bridges, these temporary bridges going over the strip, businesses being affected. I've even heard, I think Kylie Munn done a YouTube video saying apparently, unlike last year, there's going to be no fancy old stage ceremonies and stuff. It's just like a dead atmosphere now. And the tickets as well, I heard someone comment on them saying they're about 5 times more expensive than going to Bahrain for about 5 days, or actually, in fact, more expensive for going to Bahrain and then getting flights as well there and back. After last year, when you have about for 15, 20 minutes of FP1, then they cancel it because Carlos Sainz's throw hits a manhole cover, and all the fans have to get kicked out. It was just bad. And we reported on that last year. It was very, very bad, just poor management, and FP2 ended up saying, no fan. Zach, it's his second year of 10 for a Las Vegas race in F1. Obviously, the drivers will certainly be wanting to really use the circuit this weekend to their full potential, particularly being a street track, narrow in places, and obviously that 1.2 mile straight down the strip. This circuit is a do or die for the drivers, certainly, when it comes to errors being over the limit.
Yeah, whatever you can say about the spectacle of it, which is a bit over the OTT at times, I have to say, watching it, and some of the organisational shambles of last year, you cannot deny that the race last year was very good. It was better than what we expected to be. The temperatures aren't going to be warm this weekend as well. It's going to be cold. It's not going to be exactly warm as well. It's a night race at 10 p.m. local time. It's a Saturday race, interesting enough, which is Sunday morning here. So actually will feel like a Sunday race, even though it's on a Saturday. But yeah, it's Las Vegas. We've got a 1.5 mile straight on the strip. Very few corners. They're very fast, and it's going to be all about speed. Some tight middle section overall, but generally it's fast. It's 6.2 kilometers length. It's going to be a 50 lap race. The race lap record last year was 1:35.4, set by Oscar Piastri as well. But yeah, it includes that big strip start finish. It's not start finish, but it's 1.5 miles straight. So yeah, it's going to be the cold temperatures are going to make it extremely difficult in terms of proper time management and keeping warm and everything like that. But yeah, I have to say, hopefully we get just an exciting race we did last year. I mean, yeah, you could argue the spectacle of some of the stuff around it was a bit rubbish, like the post race driving around a car to go into one area and then driving halfway around the circuit to go back again. That was a bit of a complete rubbish. But yeah, as long as the races are good, I think we'll be happy enough to return to this place. Obviously 10 years it is. We also heard obviously news this week that just a few other things related to F1, that Monaco is going to be Canada are moving date. So Canada and Monaco are swapping around. So Monaco's now going to be in June, and Canada's going to be in May, the 3rd or 4th weekend. Now, the sad thing about this move, I'm afraid, is that Monaco Grand Prix is no longer in the same weekend as the Indy 500. The Canadian Grand Prix has now been moved into place to obviously pair it with Miami, understandable. But if it's going to be the 3rd or 4th weekend, there is a potential class the Indy 500, which would just be a worse outcome for us as viewers, because I mean, it would clash. We'd have to watch one or the other, which means we know put the F1 over the IndyCar anyway. But yeah, interesting enough on that one as well. And yeah, so yeah, looking forward to this weekend. 6 o'clock start for me. Oh, grimy. Probably means a 4:30 get up. Yeah. It's the last time I have to do this painful experience this year, thankfully. But yeah, it's going to have to happen. But I'm going to be as dedicated in making sure I'm up for the race. Yeah, Max Verstappen could win the championship this weekend, depending on if Lando Norris is not as good, the results are poor as well. And it is tighter now in the Constructors' Championship race, because Ferrari can do just as well as McLaren do and still take it to Qatar and Abu Dhabi as well. Qatar, you can get more sprint points out of it as well. So yeah, it's still close as ever in the Constructors, even though the drivers is all but over, really, in terms of that as well. But can it be done this weekend? I don't know if McLaren are faster in every aspect. Probably not, but I'm sure at least if it's not this week, it'll be next at least.
It's going to be an interesting one. Obviously, as well, Zach, quickly before we move on, there was some news about a launch event at the O2 next year.
Yes, to celebrate the 75th anniversary of Formula One as a championship, there will be an F1 at 75 event at the O2 Arena in February. And this will be the official launch of the 2024 F1 season. where all 20 drivers and 10 teams will be there launching their cars for the 2024 season, and plus there'll be musical performances as well. Tickets are now sold out. Yeah, some drivers are less happy to be attending than some others. Max Verstappen, for example, made his thoughts very clear about attending the race on a Twitch stream, saying that he'll try and make an excuse to be ill for that day, if possible. But he might have to attend anyway, and put on his best. I'm so happy to be here face. Well, I'm actually looking forward to it. Funny enough, I like something that'll be different than that. But yeah, that's in February. We're focusing this weekend and upcoming ahead.
I'm not sure if the event is live streamed. If it's live streamed, I'll watch it on there. But
It's live.
unfortunately,
I'm
that
pretty sure it
event
will be.
falls 2 days before a Craig David concert that I'm due to be going to. It's the end of the UK commitment tour. So I'm a little bit it's a TS5 band show, and I'm a bit like, oh, do I sacrifice that or the F1? That's what I'm on about. So, yeah, it's certainly interesting. Probably very expensive tickets for the F1 thing, I'm sure. Obviously, it's good that we're going to have obviously all 10 teams there. Obviously, will they be talking about, the regs and stuff like that? That's the other thing that we're going to be talking about. That's the end of the sports news tonight. Now it's time for Conversation Street. A couple of things tonight on Conversation Street. The first thing is I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here is back this week. We have seen 2 new campmates. We won't confirm who they are until actually. Should we confirm them?
They've been aired in last night's episode who they are anyway. I mean,
yeah, that we can confirm. That's Moira Higgins and Rev Richard Coles. They're going in on tonight's show as well. Dean also faces. By the way, if you skip this section, if you've not watched the latest episodes of I'm a Celebrity, or you've still yet to skip the series, but I'm sure many of you have, so it's fine. A little debrief from the week. Oh dear, been picked twice for a trial as Dean McCullough, and yes, got no stars the other night with GK Barry on an underwater trial. Dean certainly could be the first one out because he sounds like he acted like a toddler the other night when he tried to get some sand in his face. And the GK Barry put the hands in the hell holes, getting the keys out, and he was like, "Oh, what am I doing?" So they were left on rice and beans for that night. They also had the Jungle Delivery Service with Danny Jones and Alan Hassel also getting the electric items. They got 8 out of 10 on that challenge as well. We also had the Jeep Wranglers go into the camp on the first day as well. Danny and obviously Barry took the first trial, got 5 stars in that. And then we also had as well. Danny also got a snake up his trousers, or his trousers. As well. That was pretty awkward to watch. I heard the other night he said he didn't change his boxers since he's been there. I bet the washing wouldn't have been very happy there, I'm sure. On that one, we also had marshmallows. They got some marshmallows the other night in the Deals on Wheels as well, or in the ice cream van that Kiosk Kev apparently is running. Yeah, and Talisa and Alan have also had camp leader and deputy roles assigned. So, yes, Zach, busy week in camp, I'm sure, and the sooner rivals will certainly make it more interesting come the end of this week.
I have to say, I think Maura and Richard are going to be useful campmates. I mean, I have to say, with this year's lineup, I don't dislike any of them. It surprised me to say that. I mean, there's some obvious ones that you could proper dislike, like Nigel Farage last year and several others. But yeah, this year's lineup seems good on paper, and it actually delivered. I mean, there's been quite some emotional stories. We've had Danny Jones. We've had Barry talk about, not Barry, Danny Jones, not Barry Jones. Goodness me, I'm thinking wrong. But Danny Jones talk about, anxiety and everything like that. Barry talk about losing his son and all that. It's a very heartbreaking story, and the cope of that as well. And then we've had the Bush Tucker Child, which has basically been all this week either Dean or GK Barry. I'm sure the public will hopefully get bored of voting them over and over and over again to do the trials and give it to someone else, I'd say. I am watching it at the moment. I won't spoil what's happening on. You can watch it on later tonight and figure out what's going on if you really want to. But yeah, Dean said on one of the trials before tonight. Let's just forget about the one tonight. You can find out what happens tonight if you want to. But the ones before tonight, we had "I'm a Celeb, Get Me Out of Here" mentioned because of sand. And then you had the uselessness of GK Barry and Dean trying to work with water, waterlogged, and trying to get keys down and up and up and up and forward in the wrong area as well. Not saying I dislike them at all, but they're crap at the tasks. So yeah, and the only one they did well was the one on Monday, where actually they got quite a few stars coming out, and
9
actually they had a
stars.
happy
Yeah.
8 stars and a very happy camp as well, eating a lot of things. But yesterday, Dean and GK Barry left them on rice and beans. Not saying rice and beans are the bad thing, because I probably could tolerate rice and beans for a while. But yeah, they're not very good at the task. But like I said before, I think this cast this year is very likable, and I don't dislike any of them as well. Not too much as the others, but like they're very good, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it.
Certainly an interesting series, I'm a Celeb. Lots of surprises along the way. Head over now to ITV1 to watch the show. We'll be revealing some more camp gossip next week. Obviously, you can also watch Unpacked after the show with Joel Dommett, Sam Thompson, and Kemi Rogers. They will unveil what's happened in the camp over the past day. Obviously, host Anderson Deck also join them as well to unveil camp gossip as well. So, yeah, certainly very interesting as well. I'll be watching it after the podcast finishes, the latest episode as well. And also, the voting is now open for the next trial. I'm just casting my vote now for the next trial, actually, as well. So, I'm voting for Danny on the next trial. Please, guys, by the way, if anyone's been voting that Dean in for all these trials, maybe try and vote for someone else. I'm voting 5 for Danny to try and boost him up to do a trial, because I believe Danny will bring back loads of stars for them. So, yep, all my votes are done for Danny. Hopefully he'll get the trial. I'm pretty sure I know who's going to be picked again, but let's hope it's not someone. Well, I think it is. Moving on now to the next part of Conversation Street before we do the musical interlude tonight. Yeah, I'm going to be talking tonight about something very, very interesting. Yes, I am going to be talking about like last week. Okay, we spoke about energy drinks, and a lot of you guys have been like, "Oh, I want to talk to you guys about wacky products again." For example, the addition of this bizarre creation of drink. Has anyone heard of the Oreo? Yes. Oreo that we use in Mackie D's. Yes. It's like a chocolate iced biscuit. I'm pretty sure. It's a weird bit. It's like a chocolate iced biscuit. Just you get in like milkshakes, stuff like that. You know, imagine you munching on a milkshake in McDonald's. You buy it. This is what Oreo have come up with lately. Say hello to this. The Oreo Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola Oreo. I mean, okay. Talk about when KSI and Logan Paul do Prime. We get this bizarre creation of an Oreo flavoured Coke. I saw this in Tesco the other day. It only cost £1, and I bet to me £1 sounds like it is going to be pretty dull. Zach, what is your take on this?
Why? Why? Imagine. I mean, Coke is. I mean, to me, it's horrible enough because of all the sparkling water at the end of it. And then there's Oreo shoved into it as well. What a bizarre, weird, curious combination. That's just it does not make sense. It does not make sense to me at all. It sounds quite weird. It just sounds a bit. Why? It looks. Oh, I don't know. Ew. I'm not sure the idea. It's a very weird combination these days. Obviously, again, they must have proved the idea of let's shove a few Oreo taste flavors into a Coca-Cola. I mean, but it's just I'm really not sure what's going through their minds. Think of this things. Stop ruining popular drinks with rubbish combinations such as Oreo. I know. Stop. You're making energy drinks ridiculous as enough as it is. Stop ruining them even more. It is I can't tell you how much it's a bad idea shoving this in there. It's a very weird drink.
£1. It was £1 in Tesco, and it was a limited edition. They called it Besties Forever, according to the slogan or the tagline that they were going for. Oh dear. Oh dear.
That's horrible.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what politicians would make of it. I'm certainly thinking, oh, maybe that's their inspiring choice for a soft drink after the day at work. They get home and, they come out, dress out their suit. Certainly an interesting development on that one there as well. And another thing, I'll do a bonus thing tonight as well, which I want to talk to you guys. We're coming up to Christmas very soon, actually, funny enough. Christmas literally coming up in about a month now. So it's very interesting. I just want to talk quickly about some things. Now, obviously we're going to get to the Xmas schedule guides very soon, because obviously I just wanted to quickly talk about a couple of new Xmas TV things that are coming out, actually confirmed whilst we're here, actually. Oh, it looks like, according to this, no, sorry, I thought that was the Xmas Christmas TV showings. We've got some new Christmas films that are coming out, I believe, on like Netflix or something, or on Amazon. And I thought I'd just share. I reposted one of these the other day, actually. I thought I'd do the top 10 Christmas movies to watch on Prime Video for 2024. Just go over a few of these. Some of these might not be well known, but I thought as it's a festive thing, we'll talk about this. So it may be sitting down having a nice hot chocolate, or you put the electric blanket on. We've got films such as Jack in Time for Christmas, Jack Whitehall. Actually, this was actually advertised the other day. Includes the likes of Michael Bublé, who's a very famous Canadian singer, Jay-Z May Cooper, Tom Davis. Yeah, available from December 3rd. That is The Holiday, classic Christmas film. Dr. Seuss, How the Grinch Stole Christmas. I'm not sure I think that is Jim Carrey's one, I think. Your Christmas or Mine, an Amazon original Christmas film. Wonderful. It's a Wonderful Life. Love Actually gets a mention. I didn't know Love Actually gets a Christmas film. Interesting. Elf, always a classic. Will Ferrell and Elf. Also was in Anchorman. Your Christmas or Mine 2. The sequel to Festive at Christmas or Mine. Home Alone. Macaulay Culkin as Kevin McAllister. Who doesn't remember Home Alone? To try and escape them robbers who break into his house when his parents go away. And of course, Last Christmas. Same name as George Michael's hits on the Wham as well. That is another film that's also out in always Christmas edition. Everyone wants to see. And of course, I did repost one the other day, which is actually The Merry Gentleman. That is now available to stream on Netflix. The Merry Gentleman with Rick Robertson and Chad Michael Murray. Zach, what's your assessment on some of these new films coming to Prime this Christmas?
Yeah, I have to say, I think some of them sound pretty good actually when you think of it as well. Home Alone, obviously that's on there as well. I mean, that's a classic. Love Actually, not surprised. Dr. Seuss is there as well. The Holiday, Jack in Time for Christmas, all coming to Prime Video. I mean, not bad choices. I mean, the Dr. Seuss ones was yeah, quite a good one. Some politician used to promote Dr. Seuss previously as well for random reasons. But yeah, there's some good classics I think are making their way to Amazon Prime to watch over the festive period.
Yeah, certainly an interesting set list there for Christmas, and of course, we really want to give you the best of festive vibes from that as well. Now it's time for the musical interlude before we do the papers. I'm gonna play this song. Guys, I just want to say to anyone who's been outside today, it's certainly been very chilly, hasn't it? You know, weather's going to be getting colder this weekend. I thought I'd play this one. It is a Christmas song, but I really thought it would highlight today's weather. It's Idina Menzel and Michael Bublé with Baby It's Cold Outside. Perfect for this festive season. I feel like maybe now we should get the Christmas songs rolling. So from December, 2 songs per show up until Christmas Day, maybe up into the new year as well. First one is Baby It's Cold Outside, Michael Bublé by Idina Menzel. See you in a few minutes.
I really can't stay.
Baby, it's cold outside.
I gotta go away.
Baby, it's cold outside.
This evening has been
Hoping that you
so
dropped in.
very nice.
I'll hold your hands, they're just like
My
mine.
mother will start to worry.
Beautiful, what's
My
your
father
hurry?
will be pacing the floor.
Listen to that fireplace
So
roar.
really, I'd better scurry.
Beautiful, please don't hurry.
Maybe just to have a drink
Put
more.
some records on while I
The
pour.
neighbors might think,
Baby, it's bad out there.
saying what's in this drink.
No cabs to be had out there.
I wish I knew
Your
how
eyes are like starlight
to
now.
break this spell.
I'll take your hat. Your hair looks
I ought to
swell.
say no,
Mind if
sir.
I move in
At least I'm
closer?
gonna say that I
What's the
tried.
sense of hurting my
I
pride?
really can't stay.
Baby, don't hold out. Baby, it's cold outside.
You're very pushy, you know.
I like to think of it as opportunistic.
I simply must go.
Baby, it's cold outside.
The answer is no.
But baby, it's cold outside.
The welcome has been
lucky that you
so
dropped in.
nice and warm.
Look out the window at
My
that
sister
storm.
will be
Gosh, your
suspicious.
lips look
My brother
delicious.
will be there at the door.
Waves upon a tropical
My
shore.
maiden aunt's mind is
Gosh, your
vicious.
lips are
But maybe
delicious.
just a cigarette more.
Never such a blizzard before.
I gotta get home.
Baby, you freeze out there.
Say, lend me your comb.
It's up to your knees out there.
You've really been great.
I feel when I touch your
But don't
hand.
you see?
How can you do this thing to
There's
me?
bound to be talk tomorrow.
Think of my lifelong
At least
sorrow.
there'll be plenty of
If
time.
you got pneumonia and
I
die.
really can't
But
stay.
hold up, baby, it's cold. Baby, it's cold outside.
Okay, fine. Just another drink then.
That took a lot of convincing.
Michael Bublé there, and of course Idina Menzel there as well. She's also, I think, in Wicked as well. That film comes out tomorrow. I'm actually going to see the film tomorrow, very interestingly. Also from Frozen there as well. Baby It's Cold Outside, a classic Christmas song. Not just really a classic Christmas song, I'd argue a classic song just for the winter season in general, going through the early months. I might play that song a little bit more, actually. Yeah, just a classic song. Zach, what do you make that song? Obviously, classic winter song, really, in all fairness.
With all the Christmas songs until December, really. But I guess it's the TV adverts to start up as well. It is cold outside. I've been thinking about this all week, freezing in an office. So I'm glad I don't have to go in for the rest of the week. Thankfully.
Yeah, it's certainly I don't really feel that's a Christmas song. I kind of feel that you could play that song in the winter, definitely, especially that one. It's got that seasonal vibe about it, especially you're just wrapped up in that electric blanket. That people say, oh, do you know? Have people been recently? If any of you got electric blankets at home, please let me know, because I heard this on Magic Radio today. One of the presenters was actually saying, oh, maybe we should get an electric blanket for the kids and stuff, for the kids present. I wonder if electric blankets are actually going to be in fashion now. Let me know in the comments about that. Now it's time for the newspaper reviews now. Papers have finally come out. Let's review them, shall we? In the papers for this week, this, of course, now will be the 22nd of November. Would you believe it? Already gone through. Now, the data also as well, we had a British victim of mass drink spiking this week. I heard very bad things about this. It was Simonia White, a 28-year-old, I think, or 26, a 28-year-old. Apparently died in Laos after having her drink poisoned with methanol, a drug. Oh, it's horrible. I hate these crimes when people spike alcoholic drinks. It's one of the reasons why I don't even have alcohol. Things like this happen. It was an epidemic in the UK at one point. Oh, but the main headline that the Telegraph leads with is Sir Keir Starmer apparently supports the arrest of Benjamin Netanyahu, the Israeli president or prime minister of Israel. The leader of Israel apparently claimed it was with war crimes condemned by the Tories. In that one there. Express goes, the British government is allocating £536 million to oversee initiatives of agriculture, resulting in criticism from diverting funds while domestic concerns such as inheritance tax remain a priority there. You can see that is protest. I think that's Rupert Lowe or someone there actually holding the banner up. So hands off for farmers, Robber Reeves. The Daily Express going with that one there. The Financial Times goes, Hague Court issue an arrest warrant for Netanyahu over war crimes committed in Gaza. Hammersley also named Israel and US condemned decision. ICC cities enclave starvation. Also as well, Gattet still blows Trump by pulling out of nomination as Attorney General. And the Daily Star goes, for rage of Dirty Bertie. Yes, Storm Burt is set to bring 70-mile-an-hour winds, snow and ice. Potential road chaos this weekend, parts of northern England. It has been, just guys, anyone who's been out these last few days, last couple of days particularly, it has been very, very cold, bitter in some places, it was like -2 this morning, literally going outside when I headed off to work this morning, and this afternoon was only about 1 degree. It has been really chilly. Honestly, it's been the coldest of the year. It is going to turn milder at the weekend, but also wetter and then colder again next week and dry. This is the theme we're going to get now for this time of the year, I'm afraid. So just wrap up warm when you go out, especially when it's cold. Extra layers and yeah. Obviously, be aware of the rain, but obviously, yes, it's going to be horrible this storm, and you got it's just there with animals dressed up in what appear to be. They almost look like they're going out into they almost look like a dog there wearing a coat. Brace yourself for the 70-mile storms, rain, ice, snow, sleet zombies, road chaos, and road overturning on the bloody heating as well. Certainly very interesting as well. And the Metro obviously goes for that spiking headline. Brit lawyer dies from methanol in a drink. Kind of goes on the same headline, really, and the same image as the Telegraph. She actually looks like she looks like a pretty woman, this one. You've got spiked. Horrible to hear that, Oh dear. Again, another young civilian unfortunately loses their life to spiking. Yeah. Zach, what's your assessment of the latest newspapers for the 22nd of November, 2024?
All right, let's do it then. I just want to point out I'll just refresh the page here. That the Eye have just released their front page, as well. It says UK and France will stand firm against Putin, vows Lamy. highlighted a strong commitment to international security and readiness in light of potential threat. Writing exclusively in the eye with his French counterpart, Darren Lammy described Russia's war in Ukraine and countless violations of international law as a risk to the world, not just European security, as well. So yeah, this is a joint op-ed by the UK Foreign Minister and the French Foreign Minister as well, saying that they will continue to oppose Russian actions in Ukraine, highlighted by a strong connection to international security readiness in light of the threats made by Russia. Yeah, I mean, the UK support for this has been pretty good so far. The French support is starting to gather up as well, and that's very good and decent as well. So yeah, that's the front page of the Eye, which has just come through. Let's do the Telegraph and the Financial Times. Something we haven't mentioned yet, but I think we should mention it now. The Telegraph goes for some support for the US Netanyahu, but don't reveal the contents around it. What's going on here is that the International Criminal Court today issued arrest warrants for Benjamin Netanyahu and Yoav Gallant, the former defense minister, for crimes of war in the Gaza Strip, basically. The International Criminal Court decided that there is enough evidence to issue an arrest warrant for some of the actions. There have also been some senior Hamas figures as well that have also been given arrest warrants by the ICC as well for their actions in their parts as well. So both sides have got prison, well, not prison conviction, but arrest warrants given to them as well. I have to say on this, I feel like some of the reaction worldwide to the ICC ruling is just completely overblown. The ICC is not supposed to be an arm or entity of another of a government, or because something like that. They're there to prosecute for people for the countries that are part of the ICC and those are not, but are recognised by it. So Starmer supports the arrest Netanyahu is basically set up by the UK government, saying that they support the independent role of the ICC. But Israel is very upset about the arrest warrants. The United States are not happy about it, which is curiously interesting. We're still yet to hear comment from Germany and all that sort of thing as well. But the Israel calls the arrest warrant for Benjamin Netanyahu anti-Semitic. What? I don't even like. Why? It's just a bit strange to hear that comment come out. I mean, it's not. Is it anti-Semitic to apply rules of war crimes? No, I just, it's just a bit slightly pathetic statement, really, by Israel on that one as well. So, and the Conservatives are outraged, right? The Republicans are outraged by it and is going to try and sanction the ICC. I mean, goodness me. Well, I mean, the dictatorship status goes up very well down in America with the way they are sometimes of that. But yeah, that is the Telegraph and the Financial Times there for you on that one as well. Express. Labour hands over cash to foreign farmers. The government has committed £536 million in aid for overseas agricultural projects. And they're complaining about the fact that inheritance tax has now been applied to farmland and agriculture over here for stuff worth over £1 million, or in some cases £3 million for the very rare ones as well. Yeah, it's a very Express-like story. But quite frankly, I don't. Again, I'm all for support. I think there should be investment in agriculture here. There's definitely needs to be that as well. I hope this is not for non-essential stuff, because it's essential stuff, fine. But yeah, it could. Yeah, there will be questions on that one as well. The Daily Star, Rage and Dirty Bertie. Storm Bert is happening on Saturday and Sunday. There it's going to get windy at times. It's going to be very rainy, gusts of up to 70 miles an hour in some areas as well. Some snow, ice, winds in some areas as well. and warnings have gone out for snow. Well, so yeah, watch out for Storm Bertie this weekend. I don't think it's really like the worst storm in the world or anything like that. There's certainly not worse than that one, but yeah, there's something to keep out for. And the final one for the Metro: Brit lawyer dies from methadone in drink. I saw this on Sky News earlier today, actually. This is about a lawyer that has tragically passed away after consuming a drink containing methanol while traveling in Laos. And this is not the first incident that's been here that has involved a methanol drink as well. And so it's clear to see there is a common trend going on where it's people drinking stuff and it's poisoning them. And that's not exactly brilliant. So yeah, that's the Metro front page there as well. And that is the papers, Charlie, for the 22nd of November.
That is, I have to say, I'm just, the spiking story is just horrible. It's just horrible to hear that. And obviously, as I said, with the weather, just stay safe. If anyone's going out, wrap up warm, and obviously, with the take it easy if you're out on the roads as well. In terms of any news, final part of the show, Zach, any news that all of us listeners will be wanting to keep an eye on over the next week, particularly when it comes to the world of politics and business, really?
Anything to keep an eye on next week? Well, I don't know what's going on next week, particularly events-wise going on as well. But one thing I want to keep an eye out for is next Friday, where obviously we have these votes on assisted dying in the House of Commons. That's going to be a big topic we're going to be talking about. I think coming in the week, up to how close it is as well. And yeah, in just general stuff as well. I'm sure we're going to keep an eye out on stuff involving the United States again as well. The development on the war in Ukraine is certainly going to be one to watch as well. And the war in Israel, I think it's going to certainly keep going in the headlines beyond this week as well.
About this dying vote, I think that's next week, isn't it? I'm going to be interested to see how.
Yeah, it's next week.
How many? This is going to be interesting because a lot of MPs from all the parties are clearly split on this.
Yeah, it's a free vote, so it's not going down party lines this time round. It's generally everyone's going to vote by their own conscience. We know that some Conservative MPs will vote in favour. Some will oppose. Some Labour MPs will vote in favour. Some will oppose. Most of the Lib Dems, I understand it, will vote in favour. Most of the SNP will probably vote in favour as well. And then it will depend on the others. But it will depend on how the final swing votes are going to go in terms of the assisted dying debate as well. We can hear a lot of voices, and it is tight, the vote, as I understand it at the moment. It is tight, and there seems to be genuine divide at the moment. But yeah, it's next Friday we're going to have to watch out for in terms of how this is going to go down in Parliament.
Yeah, that's it for the Tonight Show podcast for tonight on YouTube. Thank you for watching. Of course, being my host Charlie and Zach here tonight on the show. Thanks so much for watching the show live on YouTube. Hope you all enjoyed it. See you again next time for another edition of the Tonight Show podcast. Take care and have a good night. Bye-bye.